that feeling that being a gay or queer man, I'm accepted here. And it's not a token acceptance. It really is gay men, queer men hosting retreats for people in our community. So that level of safety, acceptance really allows everyone that's here to go into some of their stuff and work on things that they'd like to work on. The only way personally I can describe ayahuasca for me is it was transformative.
You're listening to Queer Travel Chat by Two Bad Tourists. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Queer Travel Chat. My name is Austin. I am one half of the blogger duo Two Bad Tourists. Joining me as always here in our podcast studio in Madrid is David.
/ your office, / your guest room, /
multi-purpose
shoe
space.
room. I'm here too. Happy New Year. It's good to be back.
Yes.
How did you spend your holidays?
I spent my holidays, Christmas and New Year's here in Madrid. Actually, we spent
them
those
together.
But right after, on January 2nd, I had a really great trip to Puerto Vallarta. 4 nights in Puerto Vallarta. Then I did a 4-night Virgin cruise of the Caribbean, departing from Miami. So awesome time. I love Puerto Vallarta. This was either my 3rd or 4th time there.
I've never been still. You keep ditching me. I want to go.
But no, actually, you've been there for 1 day on that gay cruise we did way back when.
Atlantis?
Oh. We had a day trip there.
I don't remember.
So you've technically been there.
Okay, well, I don't remember. Obviously, it wasn't enough time. Did you see our friend Jet?
I did. I saw our friend Jet. So if you ever visit Puerto Vallarta, check out Jet's boat tours.
Did
Jet's
you guys
Naked Beach.
Did you do any?
Yeah. So
big.
He's been on our podcast actually before, both our After Dark version and our travel podcast. He has a few businesses there.
So did you do any of his boat tours? Or?
Yeah. So we did a boat tour. We checked out his tour that does the Jet's Naked Beach. So they take you to a private beach, and everyone is clothing optional. So some people were nude, some people weren't. They have drinks and food. They even had a DJ, which was super cool. There was probably about maybe 25 people there. It was a really awesome vibe. And what was really super unexpected is it's whale season. And there are humpback whales in that bay, and we saw 4 whales on the way back.
That's so cool.
Which was really cool. So it wasn't even a whale watching tour.
From his boat?
From the boat. Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Some of them were farther and some of them were closer, but that was really cool. I'd never seen.
Oh my god, Juan must have loved that.
Yeah,
just one freaking out. Yeah, that's so cool.
Super cool.
Well, I was just chilling here in Madrid, so surviving the cold winter. I mean, cold for us.
Yeah.
But New Year's was fun. We had celebrated New Year's Eve at my house. And I went out with a friend, and I realized it's never a good idea to go out on New Year's.
I hate going out on.
It's way
so
better
busy.
to stay home and at the house and have a party with your friends.
I went home right after your party at 12:45, 12:30. I went to bed early because we had
your flight was very soon. Yeah, I did not go to bed early, but never again. Anyway,
we're here on episode 2, season 4. What are we talking about?
So today we'll be talking to Brad Wells, founder and steward of Reunion Experience in Costa Rica, and Alex Theberge, Cultivating Pride psychotherapist and ceremony leader. Reunion Experience is a not-for-profit beachfront healing center in Costa Rica, offering ayahuasca ceremonies, combining indigenous traditions with science to promote personal growth, healing, and transformation. So I'm actually really excited to talk about this. This is a really cool topic.
I am too. Number one, I've never been to Costa Rica, nor have you. So the destination itself is super exciting, but to have such a unique experience that they offer, and also specifically for the LGBT community, it's a super, when I connected with them, I was we have to do a podcast on this.
Yeah, this is going to be cool. So they, of course, are also today's episode sponsored by Reunion Experience.
Yes, so thank you so much, guys, for that. And if you like the show, please subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, please be sure to leave a 5-star review if you enjoy our episodes. We really appreciate that. It helps us get more visibility. And if you're watching live on any social media platform, feel free to leave us a comment or share the episode with your friends. And of course, you can always follow us on social media. We're always at Two Bad Tourists.
Okay, so before we bring them on, as we are talking about this kind of retreat where they're doing ayahuasca, have you ever done it? Would you ever do it?
I definitely have never done it before.
Okay, same. I've never done it.
Yeah. Would I do it? I'm the kind of person that I would say never say never, right? If you asked me 12 years ago, would I move to Spain? I'd say no, but here I am living in Spain for 12 years, right? So I'll admit that I'm a little bit hesitant to do something like that, a little bit nervous, probably just because, let's just say psychedelics, I may or may not have had some experience which I may or may not have enjoyed so much.
Yeah, last time we did shrooms in San Francisco, you were not enjoying it.
There you go. So I'm actually hoping to talk. I'm really excited to talk to these guys. To talk about it from a.
Wait, I remember like when you like came. We were in a restaurant, I think, in San Francisco, and I think it was finally like it was over your trip, and you're like, oh my god!
I was like, thank God I came to. It was like a 4-hour like. I just don't. Yeah. Anyways.
I had fun, but I hear you.
Yeah. I don't know what part of that you're gonna cut out and what you're gonna leave in, but here you go.
It was microdose.
Yeah, microdosing.
It's not something that I like actually actively want to do and would pursue. I'm with you. Never say never. I do think, I hear stories about ayahuasca being pretty intense, and I hear positive things, like it's intense, but you kind of really it can help you maybe overcome something, and that's really interesting. I'd be curious to know what my experience would be like.
For that reason, I would definitely be interested in doing it, because I think we all have like inner demons or like past traumas that affect the way that we interact in day-to-day life, that maybe that could help us, sort of overcome.
You have to be ready to face that stuff. I know. I'm like, I don't think I want to face anything. Yeah. So, but that's also, I'm looking forward to this conversation, because I want to know kind of more about it, because I really don't know much about it.
Yeah. Same.
So, all right. Well, shall we bring them on?
Yeah, let's bring them on. All right, so we're super excited to speak with Brad and Alex. So, guys, please welcome to the show, and welcome to our podcast, Queer Travel Chat.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Where are we talking to you both from?
I'm in Berkeley.
Costa Rica.
Perfect. Like okay, so you're calling in from the place that we're all going to talk about, the let's say host destination of your retreats and cultivating pride activities. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So Brad, tell us more about Reunion and what it is and how you started it.
Sure. Reunion is a retreat center here in Costa Rica. We have almost 35 acres of oceanfront property. And that's all that we're really focused on, is well-being and wellness and hosting retreats. Specifically ayahuasca retreats. That's really our main focus.
Okay, and how did Reunion come about? Like, why did you decide to start the organization, and what kind of led up to that decision?
Yeah, it really came about, Austin, from my own experience with plant medicine. About 7 years ago, I had my first opportunity to sit with the medicine, and it was a bit of a journey, to say the least, that got me to the point of selling my business, realizing just how identified I was with my work. Ended up letting go of that and decided that I would found Reunion as a not-for-profit center to do ayahuasca.
How did you get prompted to try it for the first time? It was 7 years ago. Was it just because, or was there something going on?
Yeah, for me it was interesting, because I had a friend tell me, there's this place in Costa Rica that you can go. I was looking for a holiday. I was really burnt out from work, and he was saying, they do meditation and yoga and really healthy food. And I was like, that all sounds good. And then he said, and they do ayahuasca. And I was like, well, not that, right? And he said, well, you don't have to do that. You can just go for the other things. So 2 weeks later, I was there at an ayahuasca retreat center, which was all about ayahuasca. So my very first text to him was on the Monday morning was, WTF, this is an ayahuasca center. And then 3 days later, my next text after sitting with the medicine for 3 nights was, thank you for being my friend. It kind of, transformed my whole perspective on life.
That's really quite incredible. Yeah, you've made a whole change from it.
I have a question. Is that region of Costa Rica known for this type of treatment, or is that just happened to be sort of a coincidence?
Well, Costa Rica is really becoming more and more known for retreat centers. Specifically, there's quite a number of ayahuasca centers here. In Costa Rica, ayahuasca is not illegal. So, in most parts of the world, many parts of the world, it is considered an illegal substance. In Costa Rica, it's not.
Okay, yeah, I do associate it with South America, so I suppose some Central American countries as well. It's okay.
Yeah, Central America. And we're in a blue zone here in Costa Rica, so there really is a whole, health consciousness, expanding, personal growth. It's really known for that area. Okay,
so and Alex, you're a ceremony leader, right?
Yes, and a psychotherapist as well.
Okay, so could you tell us a little bit about because we never done ayahuasca or done the ceremony, so can you tell us about ayahuasca, what that ceremony is like, what the experience is like?
Yeah, ayahuasca is a plant medicine that is psychedelic in nature. So it's a combination of different plants, at least two of them. One is the ayahuasca, the vine. The other often is chacruna, but it can be other plants and a wide variety of different plants that are cooked into it, depending on the recipe. And that together they create not only a visionary psychedelic experience, but they have healing properties. So ayahuasca ceremony, can last several hours. They're usually held in the dark or dimly lit, and the focus is on helping people to open up their energetic bodies and connect with what's inside, and usually some form of healing or growth or personal transformation or spiritual awakening. Those are all the kinds of themes that tend to happen in the ayahuasca ceremony. And it's very transformative. It's a very powerful medicine that often leads to people making big changes in their lives.
Do people go into it with like an idea of something they already want to focus on, like I'm burnt out from work or I'm having problems in my personal life, or do they just kind of go on the journey and see what comes up? Or
I mean, lots of people have different reasons to go. So you can get some people who are I'm just curious, but I feel called to it for some reason, but I don't know why. But most people, in my experience, have a reason, something they want to address, something they want help with. That's often, described in the kind of psychedelic world as an intention for engaging with the medicine, and having an intention is also very helpful because it has a big impact on the experience. So I would say the vast majority of people have more than one thing that they want to either address or look at or receive some kind of inspiration or guidance on or want to shift in their life, and that's why they're choosing to engage with this plant medicine.
Okay. And what would you say to like people like us, me and David, who maybe were hesitant, or like Brad was 7 years ago, a potential guest that's interested but isn't quite sure, and maybe they're nervous or afraid, but like what would you say to someone like that?
Well, it can be very beautiful. It's not just, I think people have this idea that it's hard and scary. It can be, but it's also can be sublime and beautiful and heart opening. And if you're in a space that is well and safely held, you will feel a lot more relaxed going in, and you will have the support that you need for anything that comes up. So I do think it's important with ayahuasca, more so than other psychedelics, that it be very carefully handled, meaning a team of people who know what they're doing and have a lot of experience, a safely held container. There's also restrictions you have to follow. There's dietary preparation. So there are more things involved than just like I'm going to take mushrooms with my friends and go for a hike.
Right.
Great and fine, and nothing wrong with that. But ayahuasca does require more care to do it safely and to do it well.
is that just to make sure that the experience, is a more positive experience, beneficial, because it can, I don't know.
I think it's because it can challenge people in different ways, physically, emotionally, and also working with ayahuasca requires more expertise. And part of the reason is that it's something that's always been worked with by shamans, ayahuasqueros, going back, we don't know how long, hundreds, thousands of years, really. And so there is an art form to it. If you don't have that skill set and you don't have the safety, people can struggle and not be able to, get out of a struggling place into a better place. And the work with ayahuasca is always to help people move through whatever is coming up. So by the time they're through with the experience, they're now lighter, free, or feeling happy, or feeling like a lot of release has happened. but you need support to do that. Also, you need to feel safe. I think that's part of the most important thing, is that you feel safe to be able to drop in and go as deep as you need to go. And that is physical safety, emotional safety, psychological safety, spiritual safety. And that's part of the reason why we, and really Brad's vision of a gay men's and queer men's retreat is that so that we could feel that safety in a space that is all gay, all queer, and know that we're not being judged or being othered or don't feel at home. And so that's a big reason why we did that. That's really important to have a space that feels safe to our community.
Okay, so Brad, yeah, I mean, Alex referenced it a little bit. We got the introduction to plant medicine and ayahuasca, but I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about like what can people actually expect from your core program, and then the Cultivating Pride experience itself if they were to attend one of your events.
Yeah, well, it really starts with what Alex had mentioned with feeling safe, right? So there's the physical safety. Costa Rica is a very safe country to travel to. We are on our compound where we have our own safety and security team here, just so that people aren't wandering onto the property that aren't invited. We have a licensed medical clinic on the property, so we always want to make sure before we start the week that everyone's physically okay to do the ceremonies. We always check heart rate and blood pressure. Those are some of the important things. And then really specifically for cultivating pride, it's that feeling that being a gay or queer man, I'm accepted here. And it's not a token acceptance. It really is gay men, queer men, hosting retreats for people in our community. So that level of safety, acceptance really allows everyone that's here to go into some of their stuff and work on things that they'd like to work on. I think the only way personally I can describe ayahuasca for me is it was transformative. And I think, Alex, that's what we hear from most of our Cultivating Pride, the guys that come through is like, wow, that was it was a transformative experience.
That's often what I've heard too from other people who have done it. Is just a positive experience, a transformative one. And they seem to have always made a large impact in a good way in their lives. How often are the Cultivating Pride retreats, and how many people participate at a time?
Yeah, we'd like to get to 4 a year. This year, our next one's going to be in May, and then we're hoping if we continue to get the interest that we could do September and October. Those are the current dates that we've got scheduled. I think, and the reason Alex and I both appreciate coming onto your podcast is, to get the word out about this, right? It's hard to advertise, hey, we're doing a gay and queer men's ayahuasca retreat.
Certain channels are really good.
It's very niche.
Yeah, it's a very specific, group of individuals looking for something like this.
Yeah.
The question that often comes up is this all about being gay? And I would answer that by saying, no, it's not. Our sexuality, our orientation is part of who we are. And ayahuasca really helps us go deeper into all of who we are. And, that sense of being included and feeling safe. I know Alex and I have talked about this. We both had the opportunity to do quite a number of ayahuasca ceremonies, but sitting with the Cultivating Pride group really feels like, such a sense of belonging and understanding.
Yeah.
A connectedness that I haven't felt at other retreats. A lot of the guys say, I've always been the token gay at the retreats I've gone to. And here that's, you're not the token gay or the token queer guy.
Yeah.
You're part of the community.
I was telling David before the episode, I was really excited to have you guys on, because obviously this is a travel podcast. So we get to talk a little bit about the destination and traveling to Costa Rica, but it's like an intersectional episode because you guys have such a unique experience separate just from travel, right? So we get to learn about the ayahuasca experience, talk about the travel. And obviously, like you said, we host our own gay group trips and talk with other folks that do that. And that's kind of the unique, I think, thing that these trips have in common is like, it's not a gay trip where all you do are gay things together. It's just about like the belonging, right? And so that's what we do on our trips. Like, we're just a group of gay men that just want to feel safe and comfortable and welcome in the cities that we go to. And that's what I love about your experiences. The ayahuasca experience probably is maybe, people have to be, for some people have to be brave to do it. So to make sure they're in the most comfortable surroundings that they possibly could be, I think that's a really cool experience that you've created. And obviously you guys do general retreats too for the general public, right?
Yeah, we do.
And then when as you talked about a year that are specific to LGBT communities. So I think that's cool. I was really excited to kind of talk about that and learn, because I'm already learning things that I didn't know about.
And where we are at Reunion, we're on the coast. It's a beautiful part of Costa Rica. So we incorporate being able to go for a swim, being able to walk around the property, really being able to take time in community, talking to each other, or also to spend some time in solitude and going for either a walk on the beach or sitting in one of the different areas we have on the property to reflect is really nice. So you do feel when you come to Reunion that you are away. It doesn't feel like, regular hotel. It could be in any country. You really are on a beautiful piece of property here in a beautiful country.
And what are the size of the groups?
We keep the groups small. I think our largest group, Alex, has been 20 guys, or 20 participants. We wouldn't really want to go beyond the 25 guest mark, just to keep it small enough that people get to connect with each other. But we also like enough guests so that you can connect and form some good friendships along the way.
Yeah, there is a certain cap where people just really can't connect once, because we've hosted really large group trips and they're fun, but you're not really getting to know everyone on an individual level because there's just too many. So I agree with you with that. What is a typical day-to-day like? I mean, obviously you're not just taking ayahuasca day in and day out for 7 days. So what do you do? What does a typical day look like? What are some activities you can do?
Yeah, well, we do 4 ceremonies throughout the week. So our retreats always start on a Saturday. That first day is just landing into the property. We do an orientation. We kind of do a meet and greet. It's a relatively, laid back night. People usually are tired from a day of traveling. And then and mostly orientation, and we like to do, a group activity, kind of one of those get to know you things. And then Sunday morning every morning starts with a movement. So if people want to get up and do movement, yoga, it's available in our yoga shala, which is right on the ocean. And then that very first morning at 10 o'clock, with Alex leadership, and I'm there to support, we go into what we call our ayahuasca 101 talk, to answer all the questions and do the explanation. What are our intentions and what is this going to feel like? And that initial morning it's kind of our longest morning, because so many questions come up and we want to answer them all, right? So that people feel comfortable. And then we do work a couple of workshops in throughout the week, but we also want to give time to reflect and kind of sit with what has come up on one of those ceremonies. So every night, 4 nights of the week, we do an ayahuasca ceremony. The next morning, we always do a sharing circle where we come together back in the temple, and we encourage sharing. It's not required. Just what was your night like? What came up for you?
I imagine it's the first time for a lot of people, right, that go on these retreats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex, probably 90% are people that this is their first experience with medicine. And I think for a lot of guys, it's their first experience having some of these things come up that we bury, that tend to hold us back and limit our lives. So processing some of that in community is really nice. And that's what the sharing circles, the integration circles are about after each ceremony.
What would you say? I guess I'll throw this one to you, Alex, and Brad, you can comment. But what are some of the guests' main takeaways after the retreat? Like, what are some things that people accomplish, or do you have some tangible examples that you could give us that people are able to kind of move forward in their lives or make changes?
Well, it's so varied. The experiences that people have are very unique and really based on where they're at in their life and what they're looking for in terms of coming to sit with the medicine. But some themes that come up are, one, I think most people release a lot of old stuff that's been holding them back, whether it's stored trapped emotions, painful experiences from the past, childhood material. They leave lighter. I think that is pretty universal. People leave these retreats just like they just unburden themselves of 100 pounds of baggage. And so that's definitely one kind of general theme. I think the other one, at least in our retreats, that comes up pretty regularly is the importance of community. It is a very connected group by the end, actually pretty early on. Ayahuasca, you do that with a group of guys and you really bond. And then, you're hearing everyone's stories and clearing circle, and you're going to swims in the ocean together and you're having lunch together. There's a real camaraderie that's built, and people almost like they don't want to leave. They're going to like miss the group. They're going to miss the community. And there's often an inspiration to build more community in their life. And it's kind of reinforces the value and the importance of, more deep, meaningful connection. A lot of the guys that come through say they don't have that, they have a lot of, friends, and maybe they have a community, but it's not necessarily with the depth of connection that they experience, the intimacy, the vulnerability, the real sharing deep parts of themselves, and there's a hunger for that. So I would say those are the two kind of most common themes that I see.
I'm curious what a negative experience would look like, and then you've mentioned, there are things that you do to kind of mitigate that to prepare for these ceremonies. So, like, what would a negative experience look like, and then how do you prepare for it specifically?
A quote unquote negative experience is really an experience that has challenged a person, that's challenged you. And so, to me, that's normal in ayahuasca. The whole point is that we keep moving and you don't get stuck there. It's necessary to face difficult things sometimes, to overcome them, to heal them. Sometimes it's parts of ourselves that we need to really see so that we can make the changes to live the life we want to live. And so that could be fear, or, oh God, I didn't know that was there. But it's generally, these are temporary experiences that are part of a longer journey of transformation. So we haven't had anyone come through that they had a negative experience and it just stayed with them the whole week and they left in a negative state. That doesn't happen because we are supporting them no matter what comes up. And we have a lot of experience. Brad and I both have years and years, hundreds of ceremonies, lots of experience to help people if they don't know kind of what it means or what to do with it. So it's normal for challenging, let's say, emotionally painful, or some fear can come up. That's really common, but the whole point is to help them move through it in the ceremony, into the next ceremony, and with the end goal, which is where pretty much everyone gets to, of they worked through it and now they've overcome it and they've moved on. And that's
Is there sometimes when people take a certain type of drug, they don't feel it? Is ayahuasca like you're definitely gonna have some sort of experience, or is there people who are like nothing's happening?
I think in very, very rare occasions, someone even after, it's normal to not feel it one night, especially at the beginning if you've never drunk it before. We have to work with everyone to find the right dosage for them over the course of the week.
Okay.
But it's very rare that someone would go through a whole week, 4 ceremonies. We keep increasing the dose to help them find the right dose, and they would leave and not having had an experience. That's exceptionally rare, I would say.
And I don't think we've had any guys, Alex, that have reported at the end of the week it hasn't been,
It's not in these retreats, no.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm a guest. I decided that I want to go on your May retreat. Like, what am I going to do to prepare for that? Starting now, the weeks leading up to, and then, the day before the ceremony. What does that journey look like for me?
Well, we have a preparation program and a preparation guide. And the kind of fundamentals of that are there is a medical preparation, which means like you need to if you're on certain prescription medications, you may need to come off of those or just be mindful. We do a screening process. That's part of the preparation. There's also dietary preparation that we recommend starting at least a week before the retreat, which is ayahuasca requires us to remove certain things from our diet that may interact badly with it and make us feel sick and be unpleasant. And so there's a dietary preparation that starts a week before as well. And then there's like a mental preparation. And this is, I think, for most of us, this is a really important part, which is, to take an inventory of your life, look at all areas of your life and really kind of assess what do you want to change or what do you want to grow or, where do you want to be in a year or 5 years. You kind of think through changes you need to make in your life and then start focusing on intentions. And we found that people who really sit and reflect and journal on their intentions before getting to the retreat and have some clarity about what they're looking for, and that could be, I really need guidance in my life, or I need to figure out how to have closer connections, better relationships, or maybe I have a substance abuse problem or a substance issue that I need to really sort out, or I have some old traumas that have gotten in the way of my life. I need to release those. Whatever it is that you spend some time reflecting on it, because that mental preparation has a huge payoff during the week. So I would say those are the main components is like this, the medications and supplements, make sure that all of those are going to be okay, the dietary preparation, and then the mental preparation.
And we connect with everyone 2 weeks before on a Zoom call so that we can introduce ourselves. The guys can introduce themselves to each other, and we take them through a lot of what Alex was talking about, encouraging them to, take some time in the next couple of weeks, just getting ready for the retreat. So that part's helpful. David, if I can just go to your question about a tough night. In the teachings of ayahuasca, the teaching is that what's coming up is going. And at first that sounds kind of hard to understand, because you're really caught into what's coming up. And I know in my own experience, the first night I was like, this is like the worst night of my life, And then the next morning I was like, wow, I really had some stuff come up that I had just buried, that I didn't really want to look at. So in my own experience, I would say those tough nights that we, have really been the most transformative, because stuff's come up that I wouldn't just look at or I wouldn't deal with on my regular daily life. So, they can feel really tough in the moment, but they probably are the most transformative, because you're letting stuff go that's been holding us back.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we have to go through tough moments in life, and we're going to be better off for it. So this can kind of be a way to help you through that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And as long as you feel supported and safe in that process, and you're also going through it with other people,
right?
With other guys, you wake up in the morning and you're back in a sharing circle, and half the group says that was the best night of my life, and the other half that was the toughest night of my life. Yeah. And it seems to switch by the next day. So there's a relatability to other people that are going through the same thing you are.
On a lighter note, I am curious because, you're going away to Costa Rica for 7 days, right? That they last.
Yeah.
What is the food like, and is there alcohol?
There's no alcohol.
That's what I thought, because there's ayahuasca.
Yeah, there's no alcohol, and that
there's food at least.
One of the things that we encourage people to stop for the week before to give the body a break from the alcohol. A lot of our food all of our food is from Costa Rica, really from local producers. So it's very fresh, farm to table. We do serve meat, but chicken. We don't serve pork, that kind of thing. Everything that's on our menu here is what we would call ayahuasca or dieta friendly. Okay. Not a lot of salt. Not a lot of garlics in those kind of things, but very, very flavorful. Okay, most of the time the guys are like, this food's amazing.
The accommodations we haven't discussed, I don't think, right? What are the accommodations like?
Well, based on my own experience, all of the rooms have their own, when I go away, I want my own washroom, I want air conditioning, I want a comfortable bed, I want comfortable sheets, I want to feel like I can get a good night's sleep. So part of the appeal for founding Reunion here at Sugar Beach was to be able to provide those comforts, right? We don't call ourselves luxury, but we certainly call ourselves, comfortable. Hot and cold running water, all the water on the property is drinkable. That kind of thing. You don't have to worry. Like, I may have to travel into some countries.
In your own room, right?
We have either a shared room or you can get a private room.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes friends come together. Oftentimes they end up with roommates, and we have some great friendships developing out of that. And other guys just feel they want their own space, so yeah, you can get a private room.
Gotcha. And what about the weather? Is Costa Rica is tropical, right? It's like always warm, right? Or how?
It's always warm. It's like 90 degrees here today. At certain times of the year, you get a little bit more rain. They call it the green season, where everything greens up. But even then, it's usually not all day. It's, you may get a real downpour in the morning. Some of those retreats are my favorite, to hear that rain falling down at night when you're in the temple. But yeah, it's warm year round.
Can you mention your Cultivating Pride dates again, one of the retreats?
Yeah, our next one is in May, and all of our dates are always on our website for both our core retreats and for our Cultivating Pride.
And we'll put the website. We'll put the link to the website in our show notes and social media. So if anyone listening is interested in finding out more or even signing up, what is the next step? They'll go to the website?
They can go to the website, or a lot of the guys will book a discovery call. So you can go in and book a discovery call with either myself and Alex. We'll book a half an hour with the individual, and let's just go through what your questions are, because there's sometimes really unique situations or unique questions. So where possible, we're available to book a discovery call. We do have some returning guests coming in May, so they just went online and rebooked to come back because they know what they're in for. But yeah, you go into our website, book a discovery call, and then we get you through the intake process, which starts with medical.
I mean, we've hit like so many different topics throughout this half hour. It's actually kind of changed my viewpoint on it, to be honest.
It's been very interesting. I didn't think we were going to get to a lot of questions, but I wanted to ask about because it's very interesting.
But I wanted to ask. I just want to make sure, before we have to say goodbye, was there anything that we didn't ask you or that you want to bring up before we end the episode?
Yeah, actually, there was one thing that I wanted to share that came up during one of the questions, which is in terms of like these challenging experiences. Ayahuasca is a master of two things that are very hard to get elsewhere. So one is cleansing. So it's physically a purgative. It removes parasites. It removes things from our bodies. But it is also a cleansing agent on an emotional, physical, spiritual level, all levels of the human experience. It can help us get stuff that's inside, that has been there for years or decades, out. I don't know anything else that does it like that, and that's part of ayahuasca's secret sauce, and that's part of what it's really known for, is its ability to help us release. And then the other is it's really also a master at helping us to see things that have been getting in our way that we didn't know were there. So often people come with an intention, I want to, find my path in life, or, what's the next chapter for me? And then what comes up is, there's this unaddressed stuff that's actually been blocking you from your path. So it has an incredible ability to show us things that have been blocking us or holding us back that we didn't even know was a problem or didn't know was there. And that's a very, very special power, because it allows us to unlock in a way that I don't know anything else that does that.
Brad, did you have any last thoughts?
For me, what medicine showed me and brought to my attention was just the level of self-hatred I had for myself. I always knew I didn't like myself. A lot of that was because of growing up gay in a very fundamentalist, religious household. But I had no idea that the self-hatred was as deep as it was, and how much that was affecting the rest of my life. So for me, the transformative part was, wow, how do I let go of that? And that's the credit I really appreciate to the ayahuasca experience to help me let go of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's transformative.
Do you want to book a discovery call, David?
I mean, for real.
Yeah.
Well, this is a travel podcast, and Brad, I know you're in Costa Rica, but for both of you, where are you traveling to next? I'll have you go first, Alex. Do you have any plans coming up for?
Yeah, I'm going to the Philippines on Friday, so in a few days.
Oh, great!
Oh, that's a big
okay.
one.
You
Wow.
win. There's no prize, but
you win a trip to the Philippines. Congratulations!
Is that for business or pleasure?
It's vacation. With my partner, we're going to the Philippines and then Taiwan. Yeah,
fantastic.
Excited about that.
Beat that?
I can't beat that. I'm going back to the U.S. to South Carolina. I have a little puppy that's not with me this trip, so I'm going to go back and pick her up.
Well, that'll still be a nice trip, I'm sure.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, guys,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this insightful, enlightening conversation. I have to admit, I didn't know much about the topic, and I definitely feel a little bit motivated to learn more about it.
Yeah, it's been super eye-opening. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to tell us about it.
Yeah, thank you guys for letting us get some of the words out about what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. We'll
All
definitely help you guys spread the word, and we'll put all the information about your retreats in our show notes for the podcast.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Speak soon.
Bye. That was super interesting.
That was super interesting.
Okay, so we started the podcast intro talking about how we had never done it before and kind of our feelings about it. And after that conversation where we learned so much more, would you ever do it? Would you do it? Would you take ayahuasca?
I think I would. To be honest, I still have a little bit of fear, but like the way that, they were addressing that, you kind of need that, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't accomplish really great things without struggle and without challenges. And so I guess that sort of makes sense. Like in order to address fears and like work through some of these things, fear is going to be a small part of it. But if you really want to like improve yourself and have like a better life and work through, things, like I feel like I do have past traumas that probably I do things certain ways in life and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
But if I could like just get the courage to like address some of those things, and maybe I do have like a bad negative or like emotional, difficult, challenging night, but then by the end of it I've like released all these things I didn't know. So there are definitely some things I would love to work through, because that do affect my daily life, and I feel like that would be a good experience.
And that's what I'm going to say is I agree that I would love to go watch you do it and see how your experience is. And
well, as they said, you can go and you don't have to participate in the ceremonies.
No, and I mean, honestly, I think I have the same approach. It's like I think it's scary to face things head on that might be challenging for you, to look at yourself in the mirror and realize there might be something you need to work on or learn about yourself. And then maybe you don't want to learn about yourself, but if you then you can, like as they said, release that and kind of move on.
That's really interesting, though. Like,
want to not do it.
What you brought up, like, right, the retreats, or excuse me, the ceremonies are not required, right? So, like, imagine that you went with a friend or a partner or a couple, and like one wanted to do it and one was hesitant. Like, you can go and just observe, and maybe that process of being there like kind of eases your mind, and you see what people go through, and then maybe you are actually ready to do it later in the week, or maybe you go back, right, as a repeat guest.
Yeah, and from what people have said, the experiences, it's only ever really been positive. So, and I have a feeling of like I don't want to not do things because I'm afraid of them. I would rather kind of, because then you only live one life, so why not give it a try? It's how I've always approached like tattoo. I'd rather get a tattoo that I didn't love or regretted than have never done it and never had this experience.
Yeah, and I always feel like some of the best things that we accomplish in life, or the like most transformational, like they are challenging. Like life is not easy, right? So sometimes you have to go through those steps.
Look at us diving deep and getting into it on today's therapeutic podcast.
Well, before we wrap up this episode, again, super awesome conversation, but we also want to acknowledge that we actually recorded the intro to this episode 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, because we had to do a quick reschedule.
Yeah, so if you notice, I have a haircut now, and maybe in the intro my hair was longer.
I'm sorry. But you really worried about your haircut. We wore the same thing.
We wore the same thing.
Oopsie poopsie. It's all going to be fixed in editing. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We hope that was insightful for you as well. If you like the show, please subscribe to it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you listen or watch. Be sure to leave a 5-star review if you enjoy our episodes. Plus, if you're watching live on any social media platform, feel free to leave us a comment or share the episode with your friends. You can follow us on social media. We're always at 2Bed Tourists. And always feel free to leave us a comment or shoot us a message about what you want to hear more of.
Yes, and so for our next episode, we're changing gears completely, and we're going to be talking about Gay Wine Weekend, which is an equally interesting event, actually, that happens in Sonoma Valley, near San Francisco. Obviously, that's wine country, right? So we'll be speaking with Gary, the founder and organizer of that event, which I believe is in July. So we'll get to have a conversation with him and learn all about.
So we should do like a trip to Costa Rica, then we can go to Sonoma Valley, because we should do the wine weekend after we do ayahuasca.
Yeah, because you need the detox first.
Yeah, I think we've got a whole trip planned.
It's done. We have our May and our July trips planned. Awesome.